Welcome to STARCARD Podcast. Here at STARCARD Podcast, we get a glimpse at the age of Aquarius ahead of us. My name is Breakaway Ray. I like talking about the breakaway civilizations because we're breaking away from the one we're in now. You've tuned into a live tarot throw. Today is February 12th, 2026. And here's what we have lined up for you today. We're going to start off with an inspirational message from the tarot world. It's 3-Card Thursday. Then I'm going to catalog and inventory in a very short list of things that have been taken away. And then in the second part of the show, we're going to have tarot for the audience. If you're tuning in live and you'd like a reading, I've left some notes in the chat on how you can request a tarot reading. I've also made a list of the names of the tarot decks that are in play today. But that might actually be quite a few minutes off. On the one hand, I thought that I might not be turning on the camera today, but I woke up with a program that looks like it's actually going to be a long show because I'm listing things. So here we go, everybody. We're going to start off with 3-Card Thursday. Let's go to the tarot cam. All right, great. We have some daylight going here where I'm at. There we go. And we're going to start off with the Robin Wood deck. We'll get 3 cards from the tarot world to get us focused and oriented for the rest of the day. We're going to put a smile on our face today because every day is the first day of the rest of our lives. It's a brand new, fresh start, everybody. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is another one. Let's work with the one we got today. I want to say good morning to the tarot world and invite the tarot world to offer us a fun, inspirational message on 3-Card Thursday. Yeah, right on, tarot world. Cool. The top one is number 1. The bottom one is number 2. And we're going to fan out and find our other card. Bam. This is for entertainment purposes only. Let's take a look at our message on 3-Card Thursday. First up. All right. So we have the 3 of Swords, which indicates heartache and pain. I know I've said this before on other programs, other podcasts, but a lot of times these cards feel like they're aimed directly at me as well, not just a general reading for everyone tuning in. Whenever you're tuning in, this message is for you. There's some kind of wisdom here that we can apply to all of our lives. It's not just for me. Hey, you're not alone, everybody. I empathize with you, and you empathize with me. Let's go to the next one. It's the Queen of Swords. She says you were right. Was there some kind of heartache or pain? Yeah, you were right. We're acknowledging it. You know, this does kind of match up with today's theme. We're acknowledging a loss. You'll see what I mean. All right, and then finally, all right, Breakaway Ray, turn this into something positive. Well, the Knight of Swords is the anxiety and sleepless nights person. And this is a message to me that kind of says, like, you can't unsee it and you can never go back. And now that you know the truth, a certain maturity sets in. And we have to recognize our own feelings and our own thoughts so that we can improve upon the situation. We're recognizing the loss. It's still concerning, and thank goodness we are concerned. Because if we weren't concerned, there'd be a whole lot more of that probably. All right. Well, thank you, Tarot World. That's a very solemn message. I hope people find solace and fortitude in the message that, you know, the pain and the trials and the challenges that we meet, okay, they're there to pay attention to. All right. Thank you, Tarot World. I'm going to give these a toss, and then I'm going to launch into my list of things that are lost. Thank you, Tarot World. Way to go. And then we'll get the Tarot World to comment on that. All right, let's go upstairs. Great. I'm collecting my notes over here. I know everyone knows I use notes to keep track of my thoughts. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, some shows back, and I know that you can go to the STARCARD podcast playlists, and you could probably figure out which one it is. I just didn't seek it out this morning and put it in the description. by the way. I do invite everyone to check out the description. But anyway, in the past, we studied Robert Frost's poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. And we recognized the soft disclosure in a movie, which I think was from 1977, starring Charles Bronson, called Telephone, but they spelled it with an F instead of the PH. And it was about mind control, where an individual would call someone else on the phone, a landline, maybe even from a payphone, and recite the last 4 lines of that poem and trigger that person to commit some kind of action, right? It was mind control over the phone, prompted by the poem. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be giving it an attempt to recite the poem to you in a few minutes. And then I'm also going to point out that poem, I'd like to point it out right now, as a matter of fact, while we're talking about the poem. In that episode, I showed 2 books. I showed one book from like the 1960s, an actual book, I have it. And it was Robert Frost's collection of poems. Then I had one from the 21st century, okay? It was not more than 20 years old, or maybe just about, okay? Right in that range. You could round up or down, okay? And it was a book for children. It had Robert Frost's poetry in it, and had all kinds of beautiful illustrations of the New England area, especially during the different changes in the seasons or what have you. But the poem, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, was not in the book. It's almost like, I'm being coy, I guess. Am I using that word correctly? It's almost like they took the poem away because they're using it for mind control. They figured that out in the 1970s. They can't even write their own poems. They're just going to steal one from Robert Frost, which belongs to all of us, okay? And they're going to use it for their little mind control projects, their little assignments, okay? And meanwhile, that deprives us of the poem, which makes me really motivated to recite the poem for you in a moment. All right, so I'm sure that that's like not the only thing, not the only learning, not the only slice of humanities that has been robbed and taken from us. It is a common theme here at STARCARD Podcast. And so I woke up this morning with like a list of things. I'm going to go through that list. Let's see what else, just to shape shape your imagination and make room for these thoughts that I'm going to cascade upon you in a moment here. Oh, yeah. All right, so there's a couple of images I would like you to keep in mind, almost like settings, if you will, because I don't have any kind of a program developing animation for me. I'm asking you to use your imagination. We're going to pretend that there's a spaceship, okay, and the spaceship is coming and it's orbiting outside surface planet Earth, okay, and they can see that things don't look good. Okay, let's start over. I'm all excited, okay. You know, the next line is, it's that 3rd cup of espresso. It's kicking in. All right. So here comes a spaceship, comes outside surface planet Earth. It's orbiting. They could see things don't look good down there, and they want to report. So the commanding officer, we'll call him the captain of the ship. The captain of the ship tells the communications officer, I want to report. What's going on? Tell me, what the damage is. I want a damage report. What's going on surface planet Earth? And the communications officer is reticent. The communications officer is reluctant to share the information with the captain at first. We'll get there in a moment. Okay. The other image I would like you to keep in your mind, please, is if you remember the movie Thunderdome, which took place in a post-apocalyptic Australia. I mentioned this movie, maybe 80 podcasts ago. Okay. So anyway, there's a group of kids, basically kids, they're living in a canyon, they're surviving, they have a community, they have some relics of the past civilization, they have some pictures, and they put together a story so that they can all remember where they all came from. And lo and behold, here comes the person that they think is Captain Walker, the pilot of the plane that crashed, that caused all these children to be abandoned in the desert somewhere. But no, it's not Captain Walker. And when the person they believe is Captain Walker sees that the children have confused things and garbled stories, and he tries to explain, the truth of the situation to them, it doesn't go over well. All right. But the fact is, this person that they confuse for Captain Walker recognizes that they've got a good thing going there. Okay. They have a community and they can survive, and they're not going to be preyed upon by, ravagers outside of their community. They're doing a good job of hiding down there. And then the other idea, I would like you to consider is the idea of being stranded on a desert island. I know we've all experimented with this probably by this time. If you're a grown up, if you were stranded on a desert island, which 10 CDs would you have with you? Does anyone have CDs anymore? What would like the 3 things you have to have if you're on your desert island? Okay. Before you start making things out of coconuts, because that's all you got. All right. So now let's go back to the spaceship. Okay. The captain's on the ship. They're orbiting planet Earth. The captain says, hey, communications officer, I want to report. What's the damage down there? And the communications officer says, sir, I don't think you want to hear this report. And the captain says, no, I asked for a report. I don't know why I have to ask twice. I gave an order. And the communications officer says, well, sir, everyone else is gone. The only one available to give us a report is Breakaway Ray. And the captain says, that guy? All right, hit me. All right, so here's my list, everybody, right after I recite this poem by Robert Frost that I also think has been taken away from us. I want everyone to keep their eye out for it. When your high school children or your middle school children come home with their English textbook on a laptop, okay, check and see if this poem is still in there. Here we go. By the way, I'm all like fired up, and this is like the wrong energy to go into the poem with. So Stopping My Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. What's next, Breakaway Ray? Well, how about pipe organs and old world buildings? Why is there such a rush to remove pipe organs from these buildings? These are things that, one single pipe organ, I imagine, just to fashion one today could cost several $100,000 US, maybe even $1 million, because you have to consider where you're placing it and the acoustics that are involved. Not to mention the price of metal has gone through the roof because we have to pay a tariff. And we're not going to talk about tariffs right now at all, hopefully. Okay, so why are we in such a rush to get rid of pipe organs? And what is the rush of getting rid of the old world buildings? These things can't be replicated. They belong to all of us. They're made of indestructible materials. Now, I'm asking rhetorically, obviously, they don't want us to know where these buildings came from. They attribute many of these buildings to architects. Sometimes one architect gets like dozens and dozens of buildings attributed to his name. But then if you look on what's called the master list, which I learned about over at the podcast, My Lunch Break, if you check the master list, they don't have any architectural drawings for these buildings. So how do they even know that this guy did it? Anyway, there's something very sinister about it. There's no question about it. And I can't wait to talk about it on another STARCARD podcast episode. But these buildings, they belong to all of us, and they reshape our imagination and what's possible. And they do make us reflect inward at the beauty inside of us when we see the beauty of these old world buildings. Okay, what else is missing? Hey, I don't know. I'm not saying Omni magazine isn't around anymore. It might be. I'm too lazy, I guess. I didn't bother to check and see if Omni magazine is still around, but I used to subscribe to it a long time ago, like certainly in the 1980s I did. And, I realize now that the Omni magazine, which introduced new scientific inventions and technology that's coming, it's pretty much like the World's Fairs. The World's Fairs were like exhibits of what's coming, what technology is supposed to be coming. And of course, it was very slowly doled back out to us. But first they had to create an infrastructure where we had to pay through the nose and, sacrifice several days of our week just to pay for these little things that belong to us in the first place. You know, every other civilization has, well, okay, I'm not saying every other one, but there's plenty of them out there, even ones from a long time ago that have these communication devices. Well, anyway, think about those poor kids in that Thunderdome movie, okay? That's kind of where our mindset is. We don't know what's around. We didn't know about these things called cities. All right, let's move on here. By the way, the World's Fairs, there's definitely something missing there. There's a researcher named Guy Anderson, and I like what he had to say. I'm pretty sure he's the guy that said, he goes, you know what? Nobody went to the World's Fairs. Nobody went to the World's Fairs. You know, these impoverished people who are living in shacks are going to get on a train and travel someplace where there's no bathrooms. There's no bathrooms in the White City in Chicago in the World's Fairs. There were no toilets. What are we missing here? They didn't put toilets in the Palace of Versailles in France. That's weird. I mean, I realized that I didn't learn about it in school. I actually went to Versailles and I saw the Hall of Mirrors, and then someone happened to have a conversation where they say, you know, it was built without toilets. Does that mean that all these royal people and their servants are just like looking for bushes? That's a disgusting, that doesn't match up at all, right? So there's stuff we don't understand. All right, let me see what else I got. Electroculture. It's a form of horticulture where you use copper antennas and you help the you help your plants grow because you're using the earth's energy. You can do horticulture in a dark basement as long as you have the copper wire stuck in the soil and the copper wire goes up to the roof and you have an antenna. You can gather energy from the ether and that plant will grow. So that's not part of our science. How come? You know, that's like an obvious, easy thing. You could type in electroculture. It's easy enough to spell, and you could see what I mean. I'm trying to remember the name of the gentleman I learned from. Young man, cultivate, elevate. Cultivate, elevate. I like what he has to say about the World's Fairs and about electroculture. Those things, I agree with that gentleman on. I say good for him. All right, what else are we missing now? Oh, landlines. Landlines. Hey, everybody, throw out your landlines. Then you can use your cell phones. And then if there's ever like an EMP, nobody's in communication with anyone. I'm not sure I got the science quite right on that, but I think you're getting my idea. Let's also think about the clouds, right? Not the real clouds, the clouds where we're storing our data. How hard would it be to reset a society, a civilization with an EMP that wipes out everybody's information? That'd be pretty simple to hit start over, hit replay. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Okay, but that's certainly a possibility. Okay, it's something to think about. This is for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for joining me as I explore thoughts with my imagination to present a scene and to present some schemes to think about and consider. All right, what else did they take away from us? The cosmos. I mean, let's face it, as soon as we look up in the sky, you know, in my family anyway, the first thing we learn is we're the only ones in the universe. God loves us. He created us. Adam and Eve got it all started, okay? And now here we are, and there's no one else in the cosmos but us. All right, that's a tough one to break out of, you know, because you're hearing it from the people you most love and respect and rely and count upon to tell you the truth, but you don't know what they've learned, you know? So like I say, everybody, forgive your school teachers. They didn't know. They were given a textbook. They were given a job. And if they're as old as I am, or maybe they were older, they didn't have the internet to check these things. And nobody told them to use the Akashic record and to meditate and use their intuition to figure it out. All right. So the cosmos has been taken away. Something else that I'm noticing is being taken away. Now, I know I'm under the impression, this is me speaking, I'm not saying I'm right. In my personal opinion, I believe that typewriters, for example, typewriters, keyboards, okay, these are long-standing inventions from a long time ago, and they weren't maybe invented just as we say they were when they say that they did invent them. So what I'm noticing is that we have now built up a system just in the last 40 years for sure, where if you're going to type something, it's more convenient on your computer, but now your computer is hooked up to an internet, so you're being surveilled. And not only that, if you want to use a particular program, okay, the first instinct you're going to have is, oh, something. Okay, you don't have to. There are free versions of word processing formats out there, but everyone's first instinct is, what do I subscribe to do that? What do I subscribe to do that? If you ask your computer, that's what they're going to tell you. Okay, unless you specifically ask, is there a free version? And your computer, by the way, might dance around a little bit and equivocate and give you the wrong answer, because who knows if that computer program is getting a kickback from the word processing people. They're all in it together. Does that sound conspiratorial enough for you? All right, I hope you're having a good time. Maybe you're halfway through your coffee and you're joining me on this. All right, what else have I got here? Yeah, so now, instead of writing and creating a document that you can share, you have to pay for it, and it has to be surveilled, okay? And, what if all the lights go out? I'm going to pick up a notebook and a pen. I'm going to start writing. Okay, that's still beneficial. I agree, but it's not the power. Anyway, you get I hope you get where I went with this. I like the fact that we're integrating with society and everyone has a responsibility to one another, but I don't like it where some people get to surveil us and there isn't a free flow of, what are you checking me out for? What is the problem here? This stuff is free. Why are you charging me for this? I'm allowed to think. I'm a sovereign being. I have an imagination. Okay. I don't need any handcuffs or fences or parameters. All right. Keep on going, Breakaway Ray. What else did they take away from us? Anti-gravity. Okay. It's like not even worth talking about it anymore. We can portal, we can project our consciousness, but yeah, anti-gravity was taken away, space and time travel, not for us. Our tax dollars, starting with the Great Depression. There was a secret space program experiencer. She was female. She went through the Montauk Project. I learned about her mostly from St. Olga 69. I'm not saying her name because I'm not sure she's public anymore. I'm not sure she still has her channel up, but her first initial was a T. And what she was saying was that she created a timeline of how the secret space program developed. And she said that the Great Depression was really caused by the channeling, the funneling of money off world, to get off planet. And anyway, I wanted to mention that, that's our tax dollars. That's tax dollars around the world. That's the global economy was impacted when, there was the brain drain and people went off planet. And now we have all these neighbors. And I'm trying to tell you about our neighbors. Trying to remind everyone they're really out there. Okay. This is for entertainment purposes only. Hoping you're having a good time here. All right. So that also leads me to what else was taken away? How about our consciousness? We can list like all kinds of ways. We've gone through this at STARCARD podcast quite a bit, the things that have been taken away and how our minds are programmed and things like that. Okay. But here we are. I was watching Psychic Liz Cross on Typical Skeptic podcast last night. Two of my favorite people, Psychic Liz Cross and Rob Khalil. What a wonderful conversation that was. But one of the things that they asked about was, where is remote viewing going to be in a few years? And the answer was, remote viewing is going to be extinct. Just like the Jedi. It's going to be extinct. I mean, I'm glad that we can even discuss remote viewing right now and that people can consider it and say, this might be my last chance to learn it. Okay. Because eventually that's going to be sequestered. It's going to be sequestered like math. It's going to be sequestered like all the things we now ask our AI to do. We're going to have to rely upon an AI to do it for us. And then eventually we're not going to know anything about how to do these things. Our brains will never have exercised that. So, I mean, obviously as a former teacher, I'm like a big fan of practicing skills and trying to do things on your own. And I'd like to add, in case I haven't mentioned this before, they say that up in the Bay Area of the United States, in California, up in the Bay Area, where all those tech companies are, and you have very, very wealthy individuals sending their children to private schools, guess what? At those private schools, no technology is allowed. Okay? No technology is allowed because they know better. They don't want their kids programmed, and they want their kids to learn on their own. All right, so that's my beef. That's my hang up. I don't want us to become a society reliant on some computers or machines that tell us what to do. Okay? Because I think we have better judgment. I think we have to guide and set an example with our morals and our ethics. All right. And we have to be careful because we're setting examples every day. The computers are watching. They're learning about us every day. All right. So remote viewing might get taken away. What else? Geez, I had to write, look at my notes. I had to write this down like in blue ink. I'm all, oh yeah, don't forget this. How about the underworld? How many stories have you already heard about underground railroads and, well, underground rail systems, maglev trains, super trains that go from one continent to another, the cities underground, the things that we don't see. I'd like to talk about World Trade Center building number 7. That's something that got taken away. That had nothing to do with any aircraft bumping into it. Okay. That's always like a good question. Why did World Trade Center building number 7 come down? There's a whole lot of questions about that. Can't explore too much here, but I can tell you one thing that there was a map I saw they say it was like from a couple hundred years ago, showed Manhattan Island, a couple hundred years ago, and where the World Trade Center buildings were constructed later, okay, there was something going on that part of the island. There was something like on that map right there, which leads me to another map. You know what else was taken away from us? How about the Piri Reis map? Piri Reis was a Turkish cartographer who drew a map of the continent of Antarctica from like the 15 or 1600s, right around there, supposedly. Okay. And it showed Antarctica not covered in ice, but, it looked like a thriving North Africa. It was lush and jungle-like. And how would our perspective of history change had we had that map earlier on? That leads me to another thing. Nikola Tesla. I'm telling you, I know I mentioned this again a long, long time ago. I grew up and went to school in the 1970s. I never even heard of Nikola Tesla because nothing Nikola Tesla did had anything to do with my life in the 1970s and the 1980s. But when I became a teacher in the 1990s, and eventually there was the turn of the century, right around the early 2000s, suddenly I had kids during science fairs making presentations on Nikola Tesla. I'm like, who's this guy? All right, so they took Nikola Tesla away from us. They're rubbing people out of history that we don't need to know about. I told you it was going to be a long show. John Whitberg tells a story about a Montauk, an episode. Let's see, was it? I'm getting Project Phoenix. Yeah, I think it's Project Phoenix. The Project Phoenix, which is nicknamed or commonly known as the Montauk Project, he talks about a mission where they had to go back to Italy, where there was an inventor, and he was busy inventing things, 300 or 400 years ahead of when people wanted him to. And they had to sabotage him. Like every one of his experiments failed, or, if he was on the precipice of a discovery, something got stolen, got broken into, got burned down. And each time the scientist would come and talk to his friend who would console him, but it was his friend who was doing that the whole time because the guy was a spy, a time-traveling agent from Project Phoenix. So they took away that guy. He's scrubbed from history. You don't know who he is. All right. Let me see what I got here. I'm checking my notes. All right. So let's go back to that spaceship, shall we? All right. So I just reported in. It's Private Breakaway Ray. I just gave them the damage report up there and a little bit more. And now let's go back to the bridge and find out what's going on with the captain and the communications officer. Let me check my notes. We've heard the report, the inventory report, the losses on surface planet Earth, some of them. Okay. And it turns out that the civilization is in a state of deep takeover. Deep takeover. I want to give credit to Jane Celia Hatch for sharing that term on her podcast. You can check her out on YouTube. Thanks, Jane Celia Hatch. We're in a state of deep takeover. We are so taken over that we don't realize we've been taken over. All right, let me check my notes here. So after delivering that report, the communications officer is thinking about ending it all by jumping out of an airlock. Okay. And then the captain of the ship is revealed to have been on a certain island, and now it's up to everyone else to sort out what happens with the mutiny. That's more information that Breakaway Ray had to share. So I'm supposed to take all this and turn this into a positive. Well, yes. Okay, again, let's go back to being stranded on a desert island. Are we going to be stranded on a desert island and sit around on the beach and say, well, it would be fun to swim for 10 minutes, but we're not really on vacation. We might as well just spend the rest of the time sobbing in the sand. That's not something we can do. We have to survive. Somehow we're going to thrive. Somehow, for some reason, the universe delivered us here, and we're going to sort it out, and we're going to be successful. Okay, we're going to stay positive about this. So first of all, here's some positives. Inventory. We took stock of what we have and where we're at. Okay. Hang on one second. All right. So just to repeat what I just said, we did something positive. We took stock of what we have and where we're at. Okay. And now we need to start making things out of coconuts. Right? Let's start gathering coconuts and start rebuilding our society right here. But we have an advantage because now we know we have more tools in our consciousness. For example, we can think things through in an objective way and channel our energies and emotions in a positive way. We're going to get to a tarot throw in a moment. So now I want to share. Hey, everybody. I'm I'm a school teacher. I'm still a school teacher. I realize I'm not working this year. I'm a school teacher and I'm in California. And I would say that, my perspectives are not shared with, my neighbors and my friends and things like that, particularly like, the national news, we'll just say, for example. And right now, I'm going to mention a former president of the United States, and his name was Barack Obama. And I realized that name is emotionally charged for some people. I see the good and bad in all of our, I'm going to say, I try to find the good and also the shortcomings in everyone. I want to have a circumspect and well-rounded perspective on everybody. I want to be mature and not naive. Okay. So while I might be disappointed with what Mr. Obama did a couple of times, okay, in general, I'm going to give him a good grade. And I'm going to go through some of the things that I like, but I'm still going to give him like an A-. All right. But, if you already are uncomfortable with what I'm saying, I don't have a problem if you need to find a different podcaster who agrees more, if your energies agree more with that person. I want everyone to find their home. So, but anyway, this is STARCARD podcast. I'm the one paying the electric bill. I'm the one putting my face in front of the camera. And what I want to do now is talk about one of the very first speeches President Barack Obama won, I beg your pardon, after he won the election. So I don't think it was his inauguration. I was in the car when I heard this speech. I was listening to public radio, and Barack Obama stood at the podium. It was like a press conference. It might have been in the White House briefing room, as a matter of fact. Again, I don't know. I was listening to it in the car. I was driving on the 101 freeway. And President Obama was taking stock of the situation. He had just taken over from what had happened during the administration of the guy before him. And so, we nicknamed him No Drama Obama. No Drama Obama. He was very objective as he took inventory. And I'm not going to do any impressions of Barack Obama right now, but I'll just kind of like recap and summarize what I remember from what I heard on the radio. First off, he's, we have the war in Iraq, and we have to take care of that situation. It's my first week on the job, and that's definitely on my table in my inbox, one of my first priorities. Not to mention the war in Afghanistan. All right, so we have a war in Afghanistan. Also, that's unusual for a president of the United States to walk in, and you got to juggle two wars going on like that. And then he pointed out that the economy was crashing. And if anyone remembers or studies history, you might remember how Mr. Obama and the TARP funds, and we have to give Congress some credit for helping out there. They helped save the auto industry in Detroit, for one. And there was the real estate crisis, or was it the mortgage loan crisis? Because they do so many funny things with finances, don't they? It's all a big game. Is it like the bonds? What was that called? I forget what it was when George H.W. Bush was in office, but there was like some kind of financial thing going on. And then George W. Bush, a lot of us saw it coming. It was a creation of a poison pill economy as soon as he left office. Okay. And the Obama administration recognized that there was $1 trillion that was set aside for military purposes, but it was supposed to be like not noticed and not counted as part of the economy because it was for, national protection. Okay. As soon as he put that on the books, our economy tanked, as it were, and we saw all the red. It wasn't like smoothed over black ink. Okay. Again, nobody really has to agree with me, but anyway, as Mr. Obama, newly sworn in President Obama, is giving this speech, I saw the foreshadowing of President Obama, the stand-up comedian, because he was mentioning disaster after disaster after disaster, and he's like smiling in the face of it and saying, well, no, he wasn't smiling. I beg your pardon, but he was unfazed. He was determined to do a good job, and at least he recognized what the obstacles were and where we have to start, what we got to work with. So I wanted to share that with you. Now, I want to talk about some other things that are related to President Obama that I don't even know if are fair. It sounds like flights of fancy, sounds like imagination. Okay, but I want to go back to, back in the day when Mr. Obama was in office, people gave him a lot of flack for sure. You're a public figure. Okay, you can expect people to give you flack. All right, fine. Okay, but one of the things that they did was they took the Obama election poster and they drew a little mustache right here, but it was the mustache of the guy from that war in Germany. That guy. Now, when they did that, I'm all, dude, if they did that to George W. Bush, the person that did that would be in Guantanamo. Okay, but no drama. Obama wasn't fazed by it. Okay, but I think that's a weird thing. I'm old enough where I know what the mustache means. Okay, I'm old enough to know that that's like not a cool thing to do. Whoever is in the Oval Office, that guy represents us. He's the face of our country. How do you do that? Okay, all right. Whoa, can you feel my patriotism welling up inside me? All right, I'm trying to be objective here too. Okay, here's something else I want to say about Mr. Obama. If you go to, by the way, if you go to the description, I actually put it in the description today. There's a link to a John Whitberg Speaks video with John Whitberg, and we talk about time traveling presidents. And one of them was President Obama, and this is because he's part of the story of Andrew Basiago. Andrew Basiago is the other gentleman in the image from the thumbnail of that video. And Andrew Basiago was one of the very first people from Project Pegasus, and he was a time traveler. He's got a fascinating story. He's a lawyer from the Northwest of the United States. I got to say, there's something about him that speaks to integrity. And anyway, I want to mention that Mr. Obama is part of that story. So, he's been like, well, I think like he was selected. So I'm going to backtrack even more. Let's go back a couple of thousand years. They say that so I heard more than one place that maybe Mr. Obama was like previously a pharaoh. Here at StarCard Podcast, we can talk about, this is all for entertainment purposes only. Metempsychosis, okay? If you look it up on the computer, they'll say it's just a supposed transmigration of souls. Okay, so anyway, I'm pretending like, if President Obama used to be a pharaoh, okay, I'm in favor of good leadership. That sounds good to me. By the way, President Obama wasn't like, whipping people to get them to finish tasks, okay? He was an enlightened person. He was a constitutional law professor. That sounds like a good person to have in charge in our country. All right. So thanks for listening. And, again, if the number of subscribers goes down, I'll know that we're all seeking truth. So that doesn't mean anyone has to agree or support what I have to say. You could be laughing at me right now. Look at this little lefty teacher from California go. Okay. Have fun. That's great. This is all for entertainment purposes only. Okay. All right. So where am I going with this? Okay. So, hey, we just went through talking about all the things that we've lost, and we're trying to smile and have and keep a stiff upper lip, as they say in Great Britain. Okay. We're going to keep a stiff upper lip. We're going to turn it into something positive. We're going to take what we got. It may not be a lot. A lot of it's been taken away from us, but you know what we got? We got a collective consciousness. We can collectively share an intent to improve our situation and safeguard against further theft of that which belongs to us. Let's go downstairs and throw the tarot cards. And then, hey, everybody, it'll be time for tarot for the audience. Here we go. Did I have, oh yeah, I did. So we've used this one before. It says deep takeover here. Okay. What do we do during deep takeover? Well, we capitalize on the tools that we have. We break out the ham radios so that we can constantly communicate. We keep journals and notebooks, and we explore our own consciousness so that we can look back and say, hey, things have expanded since last time I wrote some notes. I don't have to repeat this pattern anymore. This card wants to pop out. Yay. I like that one. All right, so let's let the tarot world finish with the statement. This one comes up top. Yeah, here we go. We're in a state of deep takeover. Time to wake up. Well, let's go right across. We're going to get caught up in a hurry with Breakaway Ray. Thanks for attending my class. So as we were talking about the deep takeover, okay, the Ten of Swords popped out. And look, I even think like it's kind of like upside down, isn't it? A reverse Ten of Swords. Okay, we're going to recover from what was taken from us, from the injuries that were done to us. And the Ten of Swords also says the hard times are over. But yeah, there's a certain sense of urgency. Okay, I'm thinking urgent. Let's see if the tarot world agrees with me. So I think our window is actually a very small window. We have a very small window in which to act. And the more we act and the more positive and the higher our vibration, et cetera, yada, 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 the better it's going to be. So let's crank it up, everybody. Okay. Think of the funniest things that you can think of and remind yourself, you got to laugh every hour until the next full moon. All right, let's finish the message here. The Seven of Cups. There are so many opportunities that we can explore with our consciousness, from remote viewing to telepathic communication to dreams that are prescient and foretell the future. Everyone can use tarot cards and speak to the tarot world and then use it like Thor uses his hammer. It's just a tool to open up your consciousness. The Emperor, I love it when the tarot world does this. How many times do I do this and the Emperor card shows up and reminds us you're in control? Yo, it's the Two of Cups. This is true communication, everybody, and it's true communication ordained by that feline angel-like creature with a body like a DNA strand. Okay, and also here we are at STARCARD Podcast. It's right smack dab in the middle of our message here. The Two of Cups to me says this is a message directly from the spirit world. These are such potent cards every time. Yo, it's the Empress on the other side. Look at that image. The Emperor, the Empress, two people working together. Control of the outer world, control of the inner world. Okay, as we studied with the Empress, hey, everybody, go to STARCARD Podcast. Go check out the playlist, 5 Days with the Empress. We've done this already. We talked about this. The tarot world has not forgotten. Actually, I think it's all the tarot world's plan. I think the tarot world knew what the lesson plans were this entire week. I wonder what this card is. The Seven of Swords talks about stuff that's hidden and stuff doesn't sound very academic. Anyway, somebody's getting away with something and something is hidden. But here at STARCARD Podcast, we're going to reveal it. As Psychic Liz Cross mentioned to Rob Khalil last night on the Typical Skeptic podcast, and she was quoting a famous remote viewer, it doesn't matter how many boundaries and borders you think you have up, you are very clearly seen by a remote viewer. So nobody's getting away with anything, not as long as STARCARD Podcast is on the air. Right on, Tarot World. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. How am I doing on time? Hey, not too bad. Thank you, Tarot World. Thanks for that great lesson plan. Here we go. I'm going to now scroll up in the chat and say hi to friends. And then I'm going to get out everyone's name tags. Hi, everybody. We'll get out people's name tags and we'll make a pile of name tags of people who want readings. And if I haven't made a name tag for you yet, I will. Okay, thanks for joining me. So let's say hi. Hi, Namira. Hi, Puck Elf. I think I saw Kimberly Bamford. Hi, Kimberly Bamford. Hi, LMAAB. All right. Mystic Time 420. Hi, Jason. What do we got here? Someone's already made a list for me? No, that was my list. Hi, Lisa Talcott. Hi, Stephanie Clark. Yay. Look at all these friends showing up. Did I say hi to Kimberly Bamford? Hi, Kimberly Bamford. Okay. So I think Fairy Tale Nahal and LMAAB, I mean, I don't want to get confused. If you're both asking for a reading, I can do that. But if you're the same person, I want to make sure I'm not confused. Spider Bite, hello. Good to see you. All right, let's get out the name tag that I see so far. Let me get my name tag box. Okay, so there's one or two of you that still have snow people. So Kimberly and Lisa. Who else did I see? Oh, yeah. Then some people have schoolhouses. Yeah. There's Puck Elf. I think no, it's Stephanie. I know there's a first of all, I have Jason's. Hey, no, that's not it. Gee, Stephanie, I think I might have to make you one unless I have you. Do I have a Valentine for you? Let's check. I got Spider Bite. Stephanie Clark, right? I think I got it. Oh, that's right. You had you had twice as many hearts as everyone else. Okay. So I'm just spotting a message from a couple of friends in the chat, and I want to make sure I'm counting friends correctly because I said a couple. Is it the same person with two different requests with two different profiles? Is that what's going on, or are there actually two people? I know I give the impression that I'm supposed to be psychic. I really don't know what's going on. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm going to check that again. Some people have particular requests for decks and some questions. I'm going to do my best to sort them out. Let's check and see what I got for, yeah. So I know Lisa wants one. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jason. I didn't do impressions. I know, I imagine, because I think you've laughed at some of my impressions before. Tell you what, I'll brush up on some, all right? I know I do some good ones. The kids like them too. All right, anyway. Stained glass for Kimberly. Okay. You asked for stained glass. All right. All right. That's right, Stephanie. Take that frown and turn it upside down. So I'm going to go ahead and throw cards for LMAA. Oh, did I? It was Namira. I don't think I have Namira's name tag out. One moment, everybody. Okay. And that's right. Oh, and Rear Gunner is here. I'm excited you're here, Rear Gunner. I'm so fired up that Rear Gunner is here because next month, right, I'm going to make some Shamrock name tags for people. And while I was thinking of it last time Rear Gunner was here, I'm all, let me make one for you right now, Rear Gunner, because Rear Gunner is actually in Ireland. So yeah, you know what, Rear Gunner, we're going to hold on to this name tag all year if we can, because I'm so proud to have a friend in Ireland tuning in. So thanks a lot. That's exciting. All right, so let's take care of what's going on with the twin requests, the twin queries. Here we go. So God's flow is here. Timeout. I want to make sure I got God's flow. Hang on, everybody. So I got to say, and I still don't have your name tag out. I'm sorry. Excuse me. All right. So I have a Valentine for LMAAB. I also have one for Fairy Tale Nahal. So I'm going to throw for Elam first. And Elam's question. Okay. And hi Fairy Tale Nahal. I don't know if you're sharing a message with someone else in the chat. I'm going to assure you I don't know what you wrote. I can't read that script at all. Congratulations. All right, so Ellen, let's take care of you first. I apologize for my confusion. Okay. I'm going to find Ellen's note. Oh, gee, Deb McLaughlin is here. I just saw your name. Hang on, everybody. You know, I don't want to leave anybody out. So hi, Deb McLaughlin. I saw your name at the top of the chat. I'm going to make you a schoolhouse, okay? Yeah, I want to make sure I spelled your last name correctly. All right, Deb, I got you in my pile. All right, and Elam, has he made a decision or is he still thinking? That's pretty simple. Let's check and see. Let's go downstairs. And again, I want to say I apologize to the two of you. I don't mean to be confused, obviously. I want to just help. That's all I'm here for. Has he made a decision or is he still thinking? Has this person made a decision or is he still thinking? Why would he wait? Why would he wait? That's not the question, though. The question is he still thinking? Is he still evaluating? Has he made a decision or is he still thinking? Has he made a decision or is he still thinking? So I realize I'm using a different deck. Like if I use this deck, you're watching STARCARD podcast, the words would be on there and there would be like that little clue down there. Sometimes it says yes or no or maybe. That's not the deck I'm using this time. Let's see what kind of vibes we get from the tarot cards. We asked, is he made a decision or is he still thinking? The Emperor. Yeah, he's sitting in his chair there. He knows he's in control anyway, right? We're leaving all the decisioning, the deciding up to him. I think the message is he's still thinking. There's some balance involved and inspiration involved. Everything looks pretty good, but the Two of Swords is we're at a crossroads. We're making a decision. We have a blindfold on, and we don't have all the information yet. So I think the tarot world is answering your question. We're talking about someone who's in the in charge chair, right in the captain's seat. Okay, and there's good energies. He should take off the blindfold so he could see these cards better. Whoops, maybe not that one. Sorry, everybody. All right, so let's now throw some cards for Fairy Tale in the Hall. I want to go back and check and see what that question was about. I apologize again. Here we go. Yeah, you're welcome, Ellen. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, okay. Right on, Ellen. Did I mention the country of Turkey today? What a great. Here we go. There we go. Okay. So I'm trying to locate. Hang on. I do see what's going on. All right. Okay, so Fairy Tale in the Hall, you asked, why does this person resist? He acts too cold. Why does he resist? He acts too cold. Something that rhymes with cold is old, and I'm pretty old, and I just like to share my opinion. Things should gravitate to us, and things will gravitate to us, and there's no need for us to spin our wheels. Life is short. But that's just my opinion. Maybe life is going to be very, very long. I'm sure you've got a long life ahead of you. But anyway, why is this person so cold? What's going on? I mean, really, yeah. He's got some issues to sort out. I don't know. That's the question. Why is this person so cold? Okay. Why is this person so cold? Everybody saw me shuffle. It's the Emperor card. Wow. It's the 10 of Cups card, and it looks like a reversed. I reversed this guy anyway. The 7 of Swords. Okay. Someone is large and in charge. It's a dream come true, but maybe there's something that's hidden that needs to be revealed. Yeah. Why is he so cold? We want to know. That's like our question mark. What's going on? Everything's looks like it's in order. It's a great situation in general for more than one person. So what's going on? The Queen of Swords says you were right, and the 9 of Wands represents someone who's been through the ringer. He's had several matches. He's a gladiator that has survived many times. I have no experience with this, but I just want to maybe suggest that, the old line from the songs, he's been hurt before, and so maybe he wants to be careful. I can imagine, that's something that we all learn. You want to be careful around a hot stove. You don't want to get burned. We learned that early on. I don't know if that helps, Fairy Tale in the Hall, but I sure do appreciate you tuning in and inviting me to read. Good luck, and thank you very much. All right, Fairy Tale in the Hall. Thanks again for your feedback. I'm going to give these a toss, and then I think I'm throwing for Kimberly Bamford. Oh, okay, God's Flow. Thanks for your message. The capital letters really help. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Way to go, God's Flow. Yeah, right on, Kimberly Bamford. Let's go. Party on. Let me set up my table. Make room for the stained glass deck. Oh man, I want to talk about stained glass windows. I'm going to save it for another show. All right, Tarot World. I know you have a positive, inspirational message for Kimberly Bamford. I got to hand it to Kimberly Bamford and all you keyboard warriors out there. You're like, you guys are so integral to the podcasters' lives, the ones that you watch. Way to go. These cards are for Kimberly Bamford. All right. These cards are for Kimberly. Thanks for tuning in, Kimberly. First up, it's the Five of Wands. It's almost like orchestrated disagreement. Or it could just be like, you know, all the crazy stuff you hear when you tune into different podcasts. Maybe you have like 5 of them that you regularly tune in with, typical Skeptic podcast, right? Psychic Liz Cross, STARCARD. I'm trying to imagine 2 others. Anyway, the 5 of Cups. He's like the meditation guy. He's grateful, but he doesn't recognize all the things that the universe is doing for him. I think we're going to go to the book on the 5 of Cups. Here we go. All right, I'm going to, wait a second. I got a magnifying glass right here. Tiny printing. Okay. 5 of Cups. Oh, yeah, it's the disappointment card. I got it confused with the 4 of Cups. The 5 of Cups, it's the disappointment card. It is a card of loss, but something remains over. 3 have been taken, but 2 are left. It is a card of inheritance, transmission, and patrimony, but not corresponding to expectations. With some, it is a card of marriage, but not without bitterness or frustration. Well, anyway, it's the disappointment card. You know, what are most of your podcasts talking about? Stuff that's been taken away, right? Next up, the Queen of Wands. This is a picture of you enthusiastically pursuing your podcast, perhaps. The Queen of Wands is determined and courageous. She has a zest for life. Now, a lot of action over here, lots to learn and be disappointed about, but we're not giving up hope. We're Kimberly Bamford. We're going to have fun. The 7 of Wands says we take on all challenges. And you know what I like about this card? If you look at the 7 of Wands, I think he has like 3 hands. You see the 2 hands up in the air, right? I mean, have I got this right? And then just under like the left arm, there's like another hand. Is that right? Or I think there's 3 arms on this one. Anyway, how does he do it? How does he fend off all challenges? He's got the higher ground. He's got an extra arm. Okay. And then guess what else? The 6 of Swords says you're being guided from rougher waters to calmer waters by a divine hand. Okay. You're catching that podcast, you know, right when it's going online. It was perfect timing. Right when you were in the kitchen getting things ready, it was a perfect time for you to turn on that podcast. Okay. You're learning so much. And again, you're supporting podcasters who are delivering this information. So let's see how this message closes. The King of Cups and the 9 of Wands. We'll read about the King of Cups and the 9 of Wands, I think. Why not? The King of Cups, a fair man of business, law, or divinity, responsible and disposed to oblige the querent. Also, it talks about equity, art and science, including those who profess science, law, and art, creative intelligence. The King of Cups here represents the best of humanity and leadership. And the 9 of Wands is the guy that understands history and sciences, and he knows how to spend his energy. He's not confused like the poor kids in the middle of Australia in the post-apocalyptic world of the Thunderdome movie, okay? He has all kinds of knowledge and experience, and he knows when to build the right thing out of coconuts. Because you're learning so much anyway, Kimberly. I hope that was a fun reading. Thanks for inviting me to read. I appreciate it. Hey, Kimberly, I just saw your message. I think that's funny. I think it's funny because obviously I'm on the computer and all I really know is what I see in the chat. You're welcome, Kimberly. Right on. Thanks for inviting me to use the stained glass deck. You know I like that one. I like them all. Let's see who's next. Missing Time 420. I was going to use the Lost Soul deck today for my post-speech tarot throw, and I didn't. But let's use it for Jason right now. Missing Time 420. Here we go. I'm going to throw those back in there, Jason. Look at these cards. They're jumping all over the place for you. All right, Tarot World. You're in the groove. I bet you have a positive, inspirational message for Jason, Missing Time 420. Another great keyboard warrior. This has got to be a Hall of Fame for you people, man. We got to get Rob to do like an all-timer keyboard warrior. Where is Julia Anchorhaven? Talking about keyboard warriors, podcaster and keyboard warrior. All right, anyway. Here we go. How about some nice cards for Jason, please? These cards are for Jason from the Lost Soul deck. Okay. Here we go, Jason. By the way, I enjoyed our last opportunity. I went back and listened to the introduction. That was fun. Three of Pentacles, building something, and that does include teamwork. The Death card. How cool does that look? Happy Halloween. Endings, beginnings, and changes and transformations. Yo, it's the King of Wands. He overcomes all obstacles. It kind of looks like Jason sitting there in the chat watching what's going on, tuning in. Wow. And the Hierophant, the learned man. He understands how all knowledge is integrated into society. How is this like not a Jason? This is totally a Jason read. He's keyboard warrior. He's contributing in the chat. He's helping out podcasters to make a change in the world because Jason also sees the big picture and he's learning so much. You probably have like 3 or 4 college degrees just in stuff you've listened to on the internet, you know, because every week for you, it's like a seminar. All right. And so we close, Jason, with the Ace of Cups and the Page of Pentacles. The Ace of Cups represents new life, marriages, proposals, new babies. Okay. I want to say, I feel a parental energy. I feel as if you're the one, yours is the hand that holds that overflowing cup. You're presenting it to everyone. Okay. And by the way, when you do that, good karma comes back your way in a boomerang fashion. Okay. And the Page of Pentacles, we'll just go to the book on the Page of Pentacles. Because that's the page is an announcer card. Here we go. Page of Pentacles for you, Jason. Application, study, scholarship, reflection, messages, and management. Yeah. Moderator in the chat. Always learning. Okay, congratulations, Jason. I'm going to give you at least 1 degree from Breakaway University. All right. Thanks for inviting me to read. I'm going to give these a toss and go to the next contestant. Those were the Lost Soul cards, everybody. That was cool how the Death card came out. That guy looked good. Next up, we're going to go with Namira. And I got some Ethereal Bloom cards for her. Yeah, right on, Jason. You're welcome. Thank you for your message in the chat. These cards are for Namira. Thanks for tuning in, Namira. Out in the Netherlands. Right on. These cards are for Namira. Thanks for joining us, Namira. She likes all the photos I post. Some of those are quite old. Facebook shows them to me in the morning, and I re-add them to my photo database. I'm so glad I get to share them. Anyway, these cards are for Namira. How about that? You know, when the daylight comes out, it's kind of a different show. Here we go. The Hanged Man. Time to have another look at something. The Magician. Time to have another look at the magic you are creating and how you manifest things. Time to become consciously aware of how your thoughts create the world around you. The Knight of Swords. You need to charge forward towards the truth and defend yourself. We're going to go to the book on the Knight of Swords. Where's that book I was reading? Let's read about the Knight of Swords. I turned right to it. The Knight of Swords, departure, absence, flight, emigration. A dark young man, friendly, or... No, wait, that's the wrong one. Wait a second. Sorry, that was Knight of Wands. Sorry, everybody. All right, the show's not totally destroyed. The Knight of Swords. Skill, bravery, capacity, defense, address, enmity, wrath, war, destruction, resistance, ruin. Well, do you like Star Wars movies? Because then you're fighting with the rebellion, okay? The Five of Swords. That's, you know, the abuse and the win at all costs. So yeah, you're fighting for the rebellion against something that, you know, needs to be rectified and taken care of and addressed. And the Four of Pentacles. Four of Pentacles. I'm trying to remember who this guy is. Prize what shines. Right. Four of Pentacles is holding on to those coins. So, hey, Namira, this message looks like it's time for us to take another look at how we're creating things, because our thoughts create reality. So let's guard against the things that we think about. And where we see conflict, let's move past it and transform it and channel that energy and focus on what shines. Basically the things that we love. And I know there's some things that you love and you feel very passionate about. You know, thank goodness those things are in your life. Okay, so the Four of Cups. Ooh, the Four of Cups. He's the person that reminds us to appreciate all the gifts that the universe has brought us, even if they seem invisible, okay? And the Nine of Swords says that there's some kind of things on our mind. Maybe we have some sleepless nights. Maybe we're feeling a little bit anxious. That can be resolved. We're going to turn both of these cards upside down. We do appreciate everything that the universe brings us, and we're going to have another look at what all these things around us mean, because all of these things are just energy, and they can be channeled and turned upside down, like the yin and yang sign on the which is the emblem of the Korean flag, I think. Okay, so we're going to take this anxiety and this restlessness, and we're going to turn that upside down. We have to recognize what our thoughts are, and that's going to help us turn these cards upside down. Everything can be overcome mentally. It's all a mental world. You know, I say all these things, and when I turn off the camera, I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm glad I say it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you inviting me to read. So we have another Star Wars fan in the house. Nice. I tell you, after the Empire Strikes Back episode, the rest of those movies for me were challenging to watch. Let me go now. Oh, I got Lisa Talcott next, another snow person. Let's throw the classic deck with the words for Lisa Talcott. Here we go. Yeah, you're welcome, Amira. Cool. These cards for Lisa Talcott. Thanks for joining us again, Lisa Talcott. Thank you, Tarot World. We're having a good time throwing tarot cards today. Sending positive, inspirational messages around the planet. Wow, who would have thought? See, you got to realize, recognize, and remember, Breakaway Ray, how special this is. Okay? I know, but come on. But these cards are for Lisa. Here we go, Lisa. Oh, yeah, Lisa. Yeah, this is much better. Cards look much better now. Here we go, Lisa. Hey, it's a picture of you, the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups, compassion, comfort, calm, nurturing, healing, emotionally stable, intuitive, and caring. Not self-absorbed. Okay, the Five of Wands. It's the orchestrated argument guys. Well, they're all comparing their stick size. What, dude? Five of Wands, competition, rivalry, conflict, disagreements, strife, and tension. You know, I really hope that this is more like a story like the story of Ulysses when he finally made it home to his island, and Penelope was there, and there were all the suitors in the palace, and Ulysses had to compete to win an opportunity to be the suitor to his own wife, and he had to shoot an arrow through 7 axe handles. So what I'm suggesting is, what is there, like some kind of competition for your attention? I don't know. It doesn't have to be romantic. The King of Wands. I know you heard me say before that the King of Wands is kind of like the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson guy. He's going to overcome all obstacles. He's the big picture guy. So anyway, all these suitors might be showing how long their sticks are. Can't believe I just said that. But anyway, here comes the real hero, the King of Wands guy, and he's bringing justice, okay? Cause and effect and balance. Nice. I really don't know. This could be like, there were so many people who gave me an offer on how much it was going to cost to fix the car, but I had to get the right guy who understood what was going on, and everything came out okay because I trusted my intuition when I listened to this guy. And I didn't go along with all these other guys telling me stuff I didn't understand. It didn't make sense. It didn't feel right. Okay. So anyway, whenever I feel like I'm in the 5 of Pentacles and I feel like I'm abandoned, I'm on the outside, I never forget that I'm walking in the snow behind the spirit world. I'm following that path. The spirit world has shown me where to go, even during the tough times. And we have each other. And so that makes me feel like the Page of Swords. Let's read about the Page of Swords. New ideas, curiosity, thirst for knowledge, new ways of communicating. And you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of kids who go to school and they like going to school. They can't wait for the bell to ring and see what's going to happen today. That's the right attitude to have. Oh, let's turn that one upside down. All right, Lisa, thanks for inviting me to read. That was cool. All right, thanks for being patient and forbearing with me, everybody. I like to keep it rated G here. Let's move on to Spider Bite. Your next Spider Bite. I don't know if you can see your name yet. There, Ghostly Blue. We're going to go old school with the Robin Hood. That's right, Lisa Talcott. I can tell. I got your message. Thank you. Oh, I see you put some music up there. I appreciate it. Thanks, Lisa. You know what, Jason 420? You were right. Rogue One was a pretty good movie. I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah. Hey, Spider-Bite, you just had a birthday on the 8th. Happy belated birthday. All right. Well, that means that this message may have something to do with the World card and completion and maybe the 4 of Wands, the homecoming and the celebration. I don't know how you celebrated your birthday, but it feels really festive right now. Like, and someone turning 11 and all their friends are over at their house and they're all singing happy birthday right now. And, there's some kind of birthday crown or tiara going on. It's your favorite cake. That is so awesome. I'm thinking, I want to say it's not chocolate, is it? That's not the kind of cake you would like, I don't think. I wonder if I'm wrong. Hey, Spider Bite, here we go. The Two of Swords. It's the Crossroads card. It's time to make a decision, but we don't have all the information yet. Hey, the Three of Cups. Somebody is celebrating. The Tower card. Let's go to the book on the Tower card. The Tower card talks about things coming down, collapses. Here's what it says in the book. Misery, distress, ruin, adversity, calamity, and deception even. Well, those are pretty strong words. And the moon. Oh, okay. And the moon talks about illusion, mystery, and the subconscious. All right, so let's try again, Spider Bite. Okay. We were at a place where we had to make a decision, and we celebrated because we could see that things were falling apart, and it was the right things that fell apart. Because now we can see the moon clearly. Maybe that even means we understand ourselves even better. Maybe we've reflected on a whole year of our growth, and a year that has gone by. We just celebrated the year that went by, and now we can see things clearly. The blindfold is off. Way to go. You had a profitable year just on the inside, and just on the inside is all that counts, I think. Here we go, Spider Bite. You are the Queen of Swords. She says you were right. Then the Nine of Swords shows up and says that there's anxiety and sleepless nights, right? Like when you tune in the middle of the night because Breakaway Ray is on StarCard Podcast, he's throwing tarot cards. Okay, but again, kind of like the performer who's about to go on stage and they got stage fright, they get a little bit of jitters. This is okay. If you knew the truth and you had the truth inside of you and you weren't a little bit nervous and concerned, well, we would all be concerned for a person in that situation. If you know the truth, you ought to have some sleepless nights. Okay, you ought to be learning more. We do need to figure out what's going on. We need to contribute while we're down here. So let's channel that energy so that when we go out on stage, we look like we have it all under control, like the Queen of Swords here. Hey, Spider Bite, thanks for inviting me to read. And thanks for all your support for maybe more than a year and a half now. I really appreciate it. Oh, okay. Ginger Fluff. Very interesting, Spider Bite. I'm not sure I've ever heard of that before. Great. Next up, we're going to change continents and head out to the Emerald Isle. Here we go, Rear Gunner. Bam. Let's go with the cards with the words. Thank you, Spider Bite. I appreciate it. And here comes some cards for the Rear Gunner. Here we go, Rear Gunner. A fun, helpful message. Whoa, let me try and shuffle that one again. I know the tarot world is ready. You have some kind of strong spiritual connection going on. I mean, I only want permission to show a nice message. I'm not being intrusive or invasive, but I'm just saying it sure seems like you got your own action going on over there. All right, Rear Gunner, these cards are for you. A fun, inspirational message. Well, Rear Gunner, I just see your message. I see you weren't expecting a reading. You want me to put these cards away? I can do that. I don't want to read cards. So I'm just going to come upstairs real quick. Okay, I just saw your new message, Rear Gunner, in the chat. So let's see what we got for you. Here we go. We're going to get some good fortune. I got 6 fortune cookies for you here. First up, it's my friend, the Empress. I do believe that you tune in for some of those episodes, maybe all of them with the Empress, my 5 days with the Empress. Maybe this is the tarot world suggesting that there might have been some keen ideas that might benefit your perspective. But in the meantime, I'm going to read to you about the Empress. Abundance, nurturing, fertility, feminine, good parenting, development, accomplishment, growth, evolution, and action. I kind of like the 2 last terms, evolution and action. I do believe that you're in a state of evolution. Your shell is molting. I think that's the correct expression. The right one. Okay. And action. Of course, the 12 laws of karma remind us that if we want to see change, we need to act. We need to put decisions in front of ourselves so that we make decisions and we allow our instinct to help us make those decisions and align us on our soul's path. Anyway, that's a lot to say about one card. Next up, it's the King of Wands. You overcome all obstacles. You see the big picture. You do see the big picture. So you see the big picture. So, I guess I'm talking to myself here. Don't let your emotions cloud your vision. Okay. You do see the big picture. Let's read about the King of Wands here. He's a natural leader. He's a visionary, an entrepreneur. He sees the big picture. He overcomes challenges. He's mature and he's career focused. It does say mature, which is, again, I'm reflecting it back on myself. Okay. I need to be mature. I cannot allow my emotions to cloud my good decision making. Okay. Wow. I'm so glad we're turning cards for you, Rear Gunner. Here's the Fool card. He says it's a new beginning. It's a new adventure. This is awesome. Anyway, let's read about the Fool card. New beginnings, possibilities, innocence, spontaneous optimism, trust in life, blind faith, adventure, opportunity, and pleasure. I don't know how old you are, but I don't know if you can imagine the hope and excitement of a college graduate, for example. There's like nothing I can't accomplish. It's a brand new life. Yay! It's the Four of Wands. It's a homecoming card. It's cause for celebration. You got to celebrate where you're at. I imagine, again, this message kind of applies to me. I imagine that there's so many people who would envy, the position that, you're in, or maybe that I'm in. So the Four of Wands says celebration, joy, harmony. It even says marriage and home and community and homecoming. These cards were waiting for you, Rear Gunner. So I have a lot of confidence in these last two. Did I not say the World card was going to show up? Okay, here's the World card. Completion, accomplishment, wholeness, attainment, fulfillment. It also says travel, arriving, and celebration of life. And here we have the Two of Pentacles, and it does have travel in this image. If you look in the background, there's two boats on the waves, and those waves, those waves are far away. Anyway, the Two of Pentacles talks about having multiple priorities. So you know what? While you're celebrating the completion of what that persona accomplished, Rear Gunner, okay, it's okay to prepare for your next adventure. Way to go, Rear Gunner. Thanks for inviting me to read. I appreciate it very much. Hey. Oh, how about that? Wow, Rear Gunner, you are sharing a lot of information in the chat. I appreciate it. It's an honor to have you here. Way to go. All right, we're going to go to Stephanie now. Yeah, right on, Rear Gunner. You're so welcome. All right, hey, Stephanie Clark. I'm sure glad I set aside your name tag. I'm sure you've been waiting for at least an hour now. It's a long show. All right, so and poor Puck Elf. Puck Elf, were you at the bottom of my pile? Is there someone else here? Oh, and Deb McLaughlin. All right, so I've got Stephanie, Puck Elf, and Deb McLaughlin. Here we go. Here we go, Stephanie. These cards are for Stephanie. Way to go, Tarot World. These are some great, precise readings. I know you got one for Stephanie. She shines her light in our chat. How about some nice fortune cookies for Stephanie too, please? Thank you. Wow, did you see that? Stephanie, I hope you're still tuning in. There's something going on here. Oh, look, there's another card that got reversed. Or, yeah, flipped. Wow. Curious. So the Moon card talks about illusion, mystery, and the subconscious. And the Knight of Wands, let's go to the book. Hey, I think this message, again, Stephanie, I hope you're tuning in. I just turned right to the page. Knight of Wands, departure, absence, flight, emigration, a dark young man, friendly, and a change of residence. Let's see what all these cards look like here. The Eight of Cups, which is a disappointment. Sorry, the walk away card. Your intuition is telling you to walk away from something. The Three of Pentacles talks about a new beginning and working with others and maybe even collaborating more with the spirit world, because we are talking about the subconscious. And the Queen of Swords says, you were right. I'm going to flip these other cards. The Hierophant and the Six of Swords. Nice. Okay. Hey, Stephanie, let me give this a try. So you used your intuition and you walked away from something so that you could start something new, maybe even with some new teammates. And it turns out it was the right decision. And the Hierophant says you're learning a lot and you're integrating a lot of what you learn into, your day-to-day life and the world around you. And the Six of Swords says that this has all been part of your life plan. The spirit world has been guiding you from rougher waters to calmer waters. So gallop forward with gusto. Keep it up. Keep going, Stephanie. Right on. Thanks for inviting me to read. Okay. Hey, Puck Elf. I'm going to throw one card for you. That's not the card. No. You know what? I'm going to look, but I was going to use a different deck. I just want to look at this card. Yeah, I'm going to throw a different card. That was not for Puck Elf. If you please, can we please have another card for Puck Elf from this deck? Okay, let's throw one card for Puck Elf, please. Jumping around on continents here at StarCard Podcast, your intercontinental place for tarot throwing. Here we go. How about a card for Puck Elf, please? Thanks for tuning in so early on in the show, Puck Elf. And reminding everyone to smash that like button. Right on, Puck Elf. Yay. Again, it's my hero, the Empress card. The Empress. Let's read about the Empress. The Empress, there is beauty, abundance, femininity in your life. There may be a new opportunity, romance, art, or new business on the horizon. Focus on your senses and on creative expression. You will experience pleasure and deep fulfillment. Puck Elf, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you inviting me to read. All right. And finally, hey, everybody, this is my last reading of the day. This is Deb McLaughlin, who's been waiting since 1945 for me to throw cards for her. So let me give these a toss and get you some nice fortune cookie tarot cards, Deb McLaughlin. I'm going to go with the old school Robin Hood over here. These cards are for Deb McLaughlin. Thanks for tuning in, Deb McLaughlin. That's great. See, we started off the show complaining about all the things that we didn't have. And look, everybody, we have each other and we're having a good time. Thanks for tuning in to StarCard Podcast. Here we go. These cards for Deb McLaughlin. It's for entertainment purposes only. The Page of Wands. Let's read about the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands. A dark young man, faithful, a lover, an envoy, a postman. Beside a man, he will bear favorable testimony concerning him. The Page of Wands has limitless perspective. He can see for miles all around him. The Judgment card talks about swapping out old energy for new energy. So maybe you already see a big change on the horizon. The Seven of Swords suggests that something was hidden, okay, but now maybe it's being revealed because that's what you saw, okay? Again, you see something new coming in on the horizon. This sounds optimistic. Yay. And the Two of Cups says this is a communion, a communication ordained by the spirit world. I don't know. I hope you get a nice Valentine's card on Valentine's Day, but, maybe there's even more. Wow. Look at the tarot world go. So the Hermit card shows up and talks about finding meaning and soul searching and turning inward. And then there's the Emperor card again. And this is a great manifestation pair. So you can sense and feel that there's a new thing coming in and it's being revealed because you got the light and you can see it now. And this is all part of a plan and the spirit world is communicating it to you, okay? Because you're totally in charge. You're totally in control of this situation. And I would invite you to go check out our playlist about the Empress and the postscript. The one that we did was that yesterday, the tarot cards through a eulogy. So anyway, Deb McLaughlin, I hope all is well. Thanks for inviting me to read. Thanks for tuning in to StarCard Podcast. Hey, everybody, you made my day. My name is Breakaway Ray. Now get out there and make your own day. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Don't forget, Saturday, I'm going to be on the Typical Skeptic podcast, throwing tarot cards, hopefully making people laugh. All right, have a good one, everybody. Oh, I can't wait to read the chat. Looks good. Thanks, everybody. All right.